Have you ever wondered how SOTA and Bassstripper make their heavy jump up drum and bass? Well, today I'm going to be showing you how they make their tunes like Pray For Me and Ghost In Your Love. Welcome back to How to DNB with Inverse Audio. My name's Denver and I've got an absolute tune for you today. As always, make yourself a tea and enjoy. Section 1. Drums. SOTA's signature sound starts off with his drum beat. His drum loops resonate with the old school jump up style, featuring the usual two-step kick and snare pattern. SOTA and Bassstripper both have captivatingly bouncy hats that add a different level of rhythm into their tunes. I'm going to try and incorporate all these elements in this song, so let's get straight into it. Also, if you want to get the FLP for today's video, that'll be down in the description. All samples and presets are included, so definitely check that out. Right, so first we're moving on to the drums. Really simple pattern here, just kick, snare, in the classic drum and bass pattern. We have supporting hats here, just adds so much bounce into there. Also this top loop here. Really simple, but just keeps it all glued together. When it comes to mixing, these are the hi-hats panned, the top loop, cut out all these lows, and I have this Pro R, which is emulating kind of a room reverb. So I've turned down the space and the decay rate, and the mix as well. With it the full way, it sounds like this. Turn it down, just lessen the effects, and increase the stereo width on here. Comes to the snare. Just a transient shaper at 32%, which is quite a lot, but I wanted the snare to probably punch through, and reducing the sustain at 30%. Pro Q3, taking some of the lows out, all this muddiness, boosting the high so it properly punches through the mix. Kick, it's just a simple EQ, taking out some of the lows. On the drum bus, I have a thermal, which is doing some light saturation. The wet knob been turned down, add some kind of gritty high end that we want. Have a Pro C for compression. I'm doing kind of around -3, which is probably just enough what we'd have here. Attacks around 20 milliseconds, releases at 450 milliseconds. This gives plenty of time before compression is activated. Really letting the transient in. Threshold sitting at -11.33 decibels, so we're getting the perfect amount, which tends to be for drum and bass drums around -2 and -3. However, different cases can result in a different need. I have this sidechain activated, so none of the low frequencies, such as the kick, is being used as an input. As low frequencies like the kick can make the compression take a lot longer to release and come back around, causing like a really harsh pumping effect. So we've cut that out using this, so there's no low input. Doesn't affect the EQ of the compression whatsoever, just the input. I have a transient shaper, attack at 17%, sustain at -19, and a free clip, which, if you can see, is literally just cutting those very fine transients. Got it set at around 1.3, but as you can see, if I bring it down further, cuts off more of that transient with the little red lines there. Don't need it that much though. I'd put it at -2. Just helps control it a bit better when it comes to the master. But yeah, that's all. Let's move on. Section 2. Bass. SOTA and Bassstripper are renowned for the unmistakably iconic bass lines, which serve as a cornerstone of their musical identities. Given the distinctiveness of their signature sounds, blending their styles presents a challenge. SOTA's expertise lies in the mesmerising sound of his frog bass, intricately made with his own dark twist, characterised by dynamic variation and pitch manipulation. On the other hand, Bassstripper's artistry thrives on the foundation of rhythm and weight. This is anchored by his legendary tonal foghorns, recognised for their commanding presence and magnitude. Now I'll move on to the bass line. This one I think is really cool. It's my favourite kind of like SOTA bass, which is in a lot of like unreleased dubs and stuff at the moment. This kind of frog-like frequency shifted thing. here. It's quite a complex sound actually. but I'll break it down piece by piece so we can have it quite easily. I'll go it through step by step, so I'm going to take the effects off first. Sounds a lot different, right? Okay. This LFO is affecting both the cutoff and the pan of this filter, which is peak 24. This is just a little resonance, which is moving down the frequency spectrum, controlled by this LFO. It's a nice little sweep, quite an interesting thing that he likes to do a lot as well. This also affects the bend to plus to negative of the acid wavetable. Just makes a really nice sound as it kind of like convolves the wavetable together. I love the acid wavetable. For sounds like this, it's absolutely perfect because it has a lot of like, don't know how to describe it, but a lot of like rigidness. It sounds really cool. And we've got a mellow but unstable here as well with FM from B up 44%, which is usually really high, but for this sound it works perfectly. For the effects, all I have is a downsample distortion. Without it, so it adds a lot. It adds a lot of nice, really like high white noise, and kind of brings out more of the essence of what I want in the sound, which is that ridge. When it comes to effects, I have an OTT, 34%. Disperser, which is a great plugin. I love this for like weird noises. The amount sitting about 50%-ish. Pinch, also the same. This is actually being modulated here on the frequency. So that also follows the resonant filter cutoff. Not exactly. All I've done is like vaguely just gone down. But it has a really cool effect. As you can see, slides down there. Can't really tell you what it does, but I know it sounds cool. That's the main thing. I have a decapitator, which, as you can hear, is doing so much saturation. It's crazy. I love it. So I've got it on A. Drives about 4. The brightness is up. Brings out all of that transits that I really like. I've got another Pro R with the same thing that I did for the hi-hat loop, actually. Bring the decay rate in space right down to emulate a room. This is what it sounds like full, but I've got it about 30%-ish. Pro Q3. Taking all of those out and then boosting some of the highs again. A wider. Make it wider. A thermal to saturate it again. Making it sound even fatter. A little reverb. Some space and a suture at the end. Really kind of drive down all those really harsh frequencies. This is also paired with a sub bass, which is just a really simple sine wave here. That's pretty much it, with just some tube distortion. My next bass that I have is this bass stripper kind of thing, which I'll show you how I make. Take all the effects off. So that also makes a big difference. Let me show you. This is the sound completely dry. Again, we've got another mellow but unstable. Great wavetable when you're trying to add colour to a sound. FM from B is at really high. We've actually also got this wavetable here that I use quite often now. It's to add fourths. It's really good, especially when you're modulating the wavetable position, as you can see. Kind of folds in. My LFO here, modulating quite a lot, if you want to copy this. I've got the white noise up really high. The cutoff of the simple low 12 filter. That kind of pumping effect. The bend plus on this wavetable. Making some more like weird bendy noise. That's also a really good way to variate your sounds. It's just use this tab here and go through what sounds best. Asymmetric, bend plus is just the great ways to make sounds sound completely different. This is also modulating the level as well, so frequency and level. Bounces back and forth. Some tube distortion, and that's it for that one. Effects wise, I have an OTT again. Disperser. Decapitator, doing the same as last time. A wider. So I like this sounds kind of sticking out at you in the mix, and quite a lot of Pro R. Again, space down, decay rate down, mix is quite high actually. This mix is turned down a little bit as well. Really like the effect that that has on that bass though, boosting the highs at the end. But yeah, that's all for the basses. That does also have a pitch bend actually. It goes down and then it goes up. That's all for the basses. Seems quite complicated, but it's actually quite simple when you break it down. A lot of it comes down to the effects, so really get to know all of your like disperser, OTT, decapitator, and that'll help you greatly when it comes to affecting basses.
Section 3, Buildup Melodies. Both SOTA and BassTripper have their distinctive methods of building anticipation leading up to a drop, employing tonal rises and ascending kicks and snares. SOTA often employs a fake-out technique with melodic bass sections or 4x4 drops, which inspired the use of R vocal fade-out used in this tune. Similarly, in many of BassTripper's tracks, a single bass note precedes the onset of drums, a technique we've incorporated using the frog bass, enhancing the impact of our intricate sound design.
I'm going to now show you the intro / build-up. I have these very English vocals.
Hi, jump in. I'm waiting to begin. No cloudy heads, no thunder sky. Come over.
Very basic processing. They're from Splice, so very processed as it is. Have some OTT, 12%. Another Pro R room. I'm not going to show you that because I've showed that about a million times. I love it. A gem dopamine with a wet up high, which is just some kind of like compression and noise reduction. Brings out a lot of like the presence in the vocal, I could say. Low cut.
Hi, jump in.
I'm coming through. Delay, and an endless smile, which is basically a low cut / reverb that comes in just before the drop. So when I've got the smile bit here, swim, that is automated like that.
Swim.
That's how it goes up and kind of fades out, which is an effect that I really like to use quite often. I have this little effect here as well.
Jump in, let's swim.
Noise and a little riser. Really basic build up.
Hi, jump in. I'm waiting to begin. No cloudy heads, no thunder sky. Come over and hi, jump in.
What I love to do recently is actually sidechain the kick to these effects. I've done that controlling a balance on the effect bus. So if I go to here and I put a balance on it, which is just automating the volume, that basically then kind of affects. So when every time the kick hits, it ducks.
Hi, jump in. I'm waiting to
spread that out like that, gaining in intensity. I have this weird little vinyl sound thing. Sounds quite cool. Weird tom. Which makes it sound just slightly more epic. And this upwards. Of course, in the second drop, I had to go a bit different, so
jump high, jump in, let's swim. Jump in.
Yeah, I think it suits 4x4 really well, to be honest. I felt like that would slap really hard, to be honest, and it kind of pays off. But yeah, I'm going to go straight to the master, brief master that I've done to this track. Yeah, let's get to it. For this really brief master, I just have a bit of compression going on. Just doing about -1, but as this is kind of a pre-master, I don't want to be doing too much. Usually I'd push for about -2, so I could just move the threshold up a bit. Attacks around 11 milliseconds, releases around 450 again. This sidechain is back on, but as it's a master compression, we kind of want to be doing around -1.5, -2, so the ratio sits around 1.5 to 1, which is very small. Have an EQ, which is cutting out the sides. So basically, I'm cutting out all the mono frequencies from the sides. What this does is makes the sub-frequencies sit perfectly in mono. So when it comes to a PA system playing your track out, so when they're playing your track out, it portrays it perfectly, and there's no phasing going on. That's what this EQ is perfect for. So it's around 200 hertz I'm cutting from. I have a free clip now, which is kind of sucking everything in, cutting off those end transients, mainly from the drums, also from a bit from the basses and stuff. You can see they're doing a lot of that. Could have put in quintic mode. And I've brought the threshold ceiling to about -6.7, which is a lot, but that then means we can come to our limiter, see all of those free-clipped transients. I can then boost the hell out of it. And if I go to my LUFS here, can now see I'm sitting around -5.6, which is kind of where I want to be. Again, so it kind of compares to other songs like this in the same genre that you're going to be playing out, or someone else will be playing out, which will make it really good when it comes for doubling. Won't sound weak whatsoever, as it will be perfectly mastered. The clipper also saturates quite heavily, so if you load it into Rekordbox, you see all the peaks are kind of more pinky alongside of the red, which is really good, as those little like white noise touches can make the track stand out so much more and gives it a bit more punch and grit, which is something that helps a lot, especially when your tunes have been played out. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to play this track out for you. This has been Denver, and I'll catch you next time.
Hi, jump in, I'm waiting to begin. No cloudy heads, no thunder sky, come over and we'll swim. Jump high, jump in, I'm waiting to begin. Jump high, jump in, let's swim. Hi, jump in, I'm waiting to begin. No cloudy heads, no thunder sky, come over and we'll swim. Jump high, jump in, I'm waiting to begin. Jump high, jump in, let's swim, 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 swim.